5 minutes in the shed. I'm going to do a bit more to the engine today. The reason I haven't done much on the engine at the moment is because I've had a few stumbling points and a few kind of blockers that I needed stuff before I could do stuff. So next stage is to take all the cam wheels off, cam timing, oil pump, oil pipes, take the transmission out. Now I can't do any of that at the moment for various reasons. I can't take the transmission out because I've still got the clutch centre on here. I need to take the clutch centre off, I need to take the inspection window out, I need to take the primary, the final drive sprocket out, then I can take the transmission out. Now I couldn't do that because I didn't have any pullers to pull it off properly. Now if I wasn't doing this in front of a load of people, I'd just get some levers in and lever it off. But I'm doing it, there's a video, I've got to do it properly, alright, so I'm making the effort. So I bought some pullers, right, bought a new set of pullers. Typically, the edge of the pullers is too big, won't go around the back of it, right, so I've got to modify the pullers. So I'm going to modify some pullers, get that pulled off, then I can take the transmission out. So I think that's what I'm going to do today. For the cam wheels and everything, I can't take those off because you need a puller for those as well. Now there's no way a set of these pullers is going to get round those wheels to get in to pull it out. You need a proper Triumph cam wheel puller, which is quite expensive to buy. So what I need to do is to go over to my dad's house and borrow his. So I need to do that as well. Well, I can get the transmission out today. Might be able to take the pistons off, get the nuts off these. So getting closer to splitting the cam cases. Crank cases, not cam cases, but I suppose they are cam cases because the cams are in there as well. So that's where we are, that's what we're going to do today. Right, so I've modified my pullers. Now I've took all the tips off them so I can get them in behind there. There is actually a proper Triumph puller to pull that off, but I haven't got one. So these are what I'm going to use. So these will fit behind here now, like that, and then I can wind that into in there. Now you'll notice I'm wearing gloves. It's not a specialist job, you don't need to wear gloves. There's nothing nothing dangerous about taking one of these off. The reason I'm wearing gloves is because it's bloody cold in here. Yet another storm. So, oh wow, that's tight. Okay. Oh, there we go. Right. Clutch centre's off. There's a key in there, Woodruff key, so I'll take the Woodruff key out. Woodruff key, put that in there with the rest of it. Right, so now I can take this cover off. The thing with taking this cover off is it's flat head screws, countersunk screws, right? Now, the thing is with these screws, they can twist up and be quite hard to get out. You've got to do it like you mean it. There's no messing about with these screws, right? You've got to show it to his boss. You need a really sharp screwdriver, which is a really good fit. No, that's not a good fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a snap-on screwdriver, and I'm going to get a screwdriver bit which is bang on the right size, because if you don't, you're going to screw them up. Good fit. Have a look. try a thinner one. No, use a big one. If you get these wrong, you're going to end up chiseling them out. That's the problem. So just check you can still see that. Yeah. Right. Oh, that's fantastic. Just like everything else on this engine, everything's loose. Well, I said that, I've only undone one of them so far. We'll see. Yeah. Not bad. Okay. Whoa, I thought the last one was going to get us, but we're okay. Right, so I'll have all these out. Once this is out and out the way, then we can get the chain sprocket off the front. That one in there. And as soon as that's out of the way, all the gearbox shafts can pull out to the other side of the gearbox. That's the idea. Now this is an earlier Triumph engine, so this kind of area here, the primary chain case, it's sealed. So you have to run it with a little splash of oil in it to keep the chain lubricated, and a little bit of oil on the clutch. On a later model, there's a couple of holes drilled in here, and the crankcase vents into the primary chain case and blows a bit of oil in there. I'm not sure whether that's a good idea or not really, because if your engine's blowing a lot of oil, this kind of fills up and then you have problems with the clutch. But, let's see if this will come off. Nice. Okay, is that actually a gasket? Yeah, it's got a gasket on there. Nice. Right, so another oily bit. I'm going to have to do some serious parts washing at some point. Right, so got that great big nut on there. I need to take off. That's had a bit of a kick in that, as I don't know if you can see it on the video. That's had a bit of hammering, a bit of chiseling. So yeah, I'm going to have to see how that comes off. Yeah, the shaft looks alright, taper's alright obviously, because the clutch was stuck on quite well. Right, I'll sort out a socket and I'll get that off. Once all that's off, then we can turn it around and get some of the gearbox out. It should come out in one go. Right, getting that nut off was a bit trickier than I thought. Now, the nut was a bit mullered anyway, so it's a bit tricky to get off. But the problem is everything turns, so you have to hold the sprocket still, and then you've got to get the nut off. Now, I haven't got a spanner that was thin enough to go in here and turn it, and coming in at this angle, you're going to take the edges off the nuts. So, and I haven't got a socket big enough to get to that nut either. So I use this old trick of a toolmaker's clamp. And if you get a toolmaker's clamp and lock it on, I couldn't go straight onto it because of the gearbox shaft, but I've got most of the flats on and tightened it up with a toolmaker's clamp, nipped it up tight there so it's not going to fall off, and then I use the toolmaker's clamp as the spanner to turn it, you know, going like this. It's probably the only thing that's adjustable spanners are good enough for, really, for turning stuff like that. So yeah, turned it off like that, and to hold the sprocket still, I used a parallel punch, just put it through the teeth, held it on the teeth so it couldn't turn as I turned that off. So that's come off all right now. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, could have been an issue. Right, we'll take the rest of it out, and then when I've got the nut out of my toolmaker's clamp. So it's absolutely battered, that is. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if we can get it on the video there. Doesn't seem to want to. Ah, there we go. So we're on a right old kick in that as. I guess somebody else didn't have the right spanner either, but they didn't know the toolmaker's clamp trick. So, right, anyway, that nut's off, which is good. We'll start getting the rest of it off. Right then, so transmission's all out, so the gearbox is all empty now. The gearbox is down here. It's quite a nice gearbox on these engines because as soon as you take them, this plate screws out, it kind of all comes out in one big clump. The only thing you pull out is the pin on the spring that's in the back there, and the output thing that goes through where your sprocket goes on, and that just pulls out. I've slipped that on the end of the shaft there, so it's all together. You know, it's not one of those gearboxes that you take apart and it just goes boom, with parts everywhere. So that's quite nice. A lot of grotty debris in the bottom of it, and I've also noticed as well that's not gearbox oil in there. That's engine oil in there, which is wrong. So that needs changing, updating as well. So primary drive side's all clear now. Gearbox is all clear. Just this cam timing cam wheels pinions. Right. So I need to take all these apart now. The two cam wheels here, they're left-hand thread, right, and you need to know that as well. Right, so they're left-hand thread, so to take those off means we've got to go left-hand thread that way, like that. So that one will come off there. That one there. Take that one off there. Now, always weird undoing a left-hand thread bolt nut. Now this one, you can see it's got the little cam nipple there. That drives around in a circle like that, which drives the oil pump up and down, and the little pistons of the oil pump go up and down like that, and that pumps the oil around the engine. Quite an elegant little design, really, that is. So that one comes off there. Now I do need pullers to pull those out. Oh, I thought I was just going to fall off then. I didn't. The crank one, that's normal right hand thread. Right, so that has to come off this way. Right, that way, like that. It's pretty easy. Now once that's all off, the idler wheel here, that'll just slide out. So that one. Oh, not past that nut, I'll take that nut off. So that'll just slide out. Crank one, I think that'll need pulling as well. Yeah, might do. So you'll notice how easy they came off when I just did that. Right? There's a reason behind that. Right? Now, when you come to take these off, they are bloody tight. They are. And the other thing is you have to hold the engine. Now, what I did is I had all bits of wood underneath the pistons like that. The pistons were sitting on a bit of wood like that, so I could get some leverage on them. And I'll be dead honest, this took a bit of a pasting with a big rubber mallet as well, just to crack them loose. It's a bit brutal, and I thought I'll have a fight with it. And I forgot to video it, to be honest. Anyway, so I had a fight. You need either a long extension on your socket, or give it a knock to get those loose. Anyway, they came loose okay. Holding it all still was a bit tricky. I mean, the reason I left the pistons on was because you put bits of wood under the pistons and that kind of holds it, and you go against the rotation of the engine. Another good trick, which I've seen people do, is that pinion there, the crank pinion. If you've got another one of those, a spare one of those, you can drop it in here, in this void here, and it keys in with these teeth here, just locks it solid. Brilliant. And that's a really good tip, that is. So if you've got a spare one of those, do that. I haven't, so I didn't do it. So yeah, just need to pull these off now, and then I'll be able to split the crankcases. But I think for now that's it. That's my 5 minutes in the shed. Right, thanks.